Mumbo Jumbo was just sued by xBCrafted, Vintage Beef, Keralis, and iJevin, asking him to turn the noise down on his shop. But the people may need a better argument for the People versus Mumbo Jumbo trial. I do need to point out that I am not a lawyer, and none of this is coming from an area of expertise, but I figured I may as well research the American legal system to see how Mumbo Jumbo can win this case. The reason why I'm using the American court system is because B00100, the judge presiding over these cases, is American. And I'm specifically covering civil law because this is a feud between two stores. Now, the main issues Mumbo is being sued over include loud noises from his shop, environmental shenanigans, and general tomfoolery. Whatever that means. Now, we already know what the loud noises are. The environmental shenanigans are the debris around Mumbo's shop. There is loss of income and apparently non-wilting carrots, which sounds like a good thing, but I digress. The plaintiffs seek an ad for the store with a guitar solo, cleaning the grounds, monetary compensation of at least one stack of diamond blocks, and partial ownership of Mumbo's mustache, which feels a little too far. One of the main issues with some of these compensations is that they seem a little too extreme for what amounts to your nosy neighbor giving you a noise complaint. In the US, charges for crimes are meant to match the crime, not match whatever will make the plaintiff happy. For example, someone littering may be asked to pay a small fine because the crime is ultimately not deemed as major as theft or money laundering that will more directly impact the plaintiffs or other parties. The reason why Doc's skyblock punishment worked was because it gave him time to stay away from others' animals and think about the consequences of his actions in solitude. Not sure how many of these sentences will actually pass because partial ownership of Mumbo's mustache and a free ad seems a little too far. But this is ultimately just a game, and I'm sure Mumbo wouldn't agree to it if he felt uncomfortable with these charges. The next issue for our plaintiffs is their evidence is flimsy at best. Let's go in order. The loud noises are not generally an issue for the shops in question. Yes, it may be distracting, but we have heard from multiple hermits surveyed that their main issues had to do with reasons outside of the noise. Even the judge agreed the prices were outrageous for what the hermits would be getting in return.
Maybe, I mean, you can say that it's because of the sound, but could it possibly be because of the sky high prices?
No.
No, certainly not. No.
The plaintiffs need to clearly tie the noise pollution to the damages, which will be difficult. One thing you'll need to know about American civil law is that in cases surrounding torts or civil wrongs not from contract laws, there are generally two types of damages: general and special damages. In the trial with Cleo and Doc M, Cleo was seeking compensation for general damages because the case was about emotional distress. General damages are damages that do not have any form of monetary loss, which made Cleo's case somewhat simpler because, of course, the death of her pig would bring her emotional distress. She may have needed to prove that the pain was severe enough to warrant a trial, but the trial did not even go in that direction as far as I recall, and this is not a IRL courtroom, so things will differ. The reason these new rounds of plaintiffs will have a hard time is that special damages, which are monetary damages, need to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the reason for the monetary loss was from the noise specifically, which, like I said previously, they really don't have. Saying that sales went down are great, but they need to specify why the sales went down as well. The same goes for the debris, because the debris primarily functions as decor for Mumbo's shop. And also, this is Minecraft. I know I said that I would mainly be taking my legal research from American civil law, but context is important, especially when landscaping and texturing really helps with building. There's an argument to be made on encroaching other hermits' builds, but if there was not a previous discussion on this issue, nor was this an issue until the lawsuit was filed, I don't think anyone would care that much. Also, the debris led to the formation of carrots that will never wilt. So correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that a good thing? XB sells GMO food. literally modified foodstuffs. Wouldn't non-wilting carrots be beneficial to XB's shop, since the carrots not wilting would make them last longer? The main one I can agree with the plaintiffs on is the vandalism, which was really not warranted on Mumbo's part, but they didn't write vandalism on the suing papers. They wrote general tomfoolery. As far as I could tell, vandalism is not generally a civil matter, so this is correct, but a lot of things can technically be considered tomfoolery. So I'm not exactly sure what the plaintiffs are referring to outside of the vandalism. While it's something Mumbo shouldn't have done, it cannot be tied back to any loss of sales except for replacing the glass, which in Minecraft doesn't really take that long. Unless there's something I'm missing, this doesn't actually seem like enough to warrant the charges the plaintiffs are suggesting, and some of these things could have been solved outside of the courtroom. On top of that, the plaintiffs may be sued for their actions during this whole lawsuit debacle. When creating the protest using armor stands outside of Mumbo's shop, the plaintiffs used Pearlescent Moon's face. This may not seem like that big of a deal at first, but in Mumbo Jumbo's video, Pearl commented that she did not consent to having her face plastered on the protest, and that she surveyed that she didn't mind the noise. This would be considered an invasion of privacy, more specifically, portraying Pearl in a false light. Pearl does not have this belief, and while the plaintiffs are not outright saying she expresses the same beliefs as them, placing her face on an armor stand protesting Mumbo's shop portrays her in a false light that makes it seem like she has the same opinion as the plaintiffs. While this may not be a defense to everything, it may help Mumbo with his court proceedings, or at the very least point him in the right direction for witnesses to prove his point. Now, how can Mumbo combat these claims? Well, the main one I would recommend is to see when the plaintiffs built their builds. XB's shop was there first, but if others built their shops after the noise was there, then they assumed the risk the noise would create. However, this argument doesn't fix everything. The main way to get out of this court case is to reassure the judge that none of this is Mumbo's fault. Like I said previously, Mumbo has many witnesses to choose from, and Pearl would likely be the best one to start with since she can discuss the shopping angle and the invasion of privacy. She may also have the option to sue the plaintiffs later if she so desires, due to the portrayal of false light of her protesting. Mumbo can easily defend himself by obtaining some of the plaintiffs' old shoppers and have them explain the reason why they're not shopping anymore. So long as it's not debris or noise, Mumbo is fine. He can even bring in the judge himself as a witness since he had a discussion with XB about this exact issue. Now, the main issue Mumbo can't defend himself against is the vandalism, or what I would assume is the general tomfoolery. Now, he doesn't really have a good defense for this because all XB told him was that he was suing him. He wasn't exactly egged on to commit a crime, he was just told he was being sued. Or so I thought. You see, Mumbo's best defense may just be leaves. You see, Mumbo did try to resolve the case before he threw bricks through XB's window by paying XB with leaves. Almost immediately, XB accused him of bribery. But here was my issue. It's not a bribe to resolve a case outside of the courtroom. That is called a settlement. And you know the worst part? XB accepted it. XB accepted the leaves and did not give them back to Mumbo. So technically, XB accepted his settlement. While XB is saying that he wants to sue and Mumbo hasn't done anything to try to fix the issue, XB implied that the case was over the second he accepted the leaves from Mumbo. If XB did not want to settle the case outside of court, he would have returned the settlement within a reasonable time, which would have been during the conversation with Mumbo. XB accepting the leaves doesn't even consider the fact that he vandalized Mumbo's sign as well. XB doesn't truly care about the condition of his food.
And I'm walking on produce, by the way. So it might be that as well.
Oh, that's fine. I'm worried about the noise. You can walk on it, you can lick it, you can fondle it. It's fine. Just the noise.
Yours?
He just cares about getting back at Mumbo.
Not to persuade anything, but
Yeah.
if one of those things over there happens to get filled out by someone named B00100, I will give you these for half price.
Half price, 1 diamond for 16?
Mm-hmm.
What you gonna use them for?
Brewing. Water breathing potions.
How is that permit going? Where's the
It's not
shop?
going great.
This trial should have been thrown out from the very start. But what do y'all think? Will Mumbo win, or do the plaintiffs have a point? If you want to watch me analyze another case, watch this video on how Scar should go about suing the snails. And if you want to watch me theorize more about Hermitcraft Season 10, watch this video about Club's potential future in Hermitcraft Season 10. With that, I hope you all have a magnificent day, and I'll see you all later.